Greetings all, this is Hairy Nick, and I'm joined by Lachlan from Hell of a Pilot. How are you, dude?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
Excellent, excellent. We're back because we have to do some more list review videos. It's been way too long. I think like the start of December since I've done one of these. Been far too long, you guys want more, and we actually had some specific requests to do more Rebel stuff. But somebody asked me, do you guys favour Rebel stuff more because you're a Scum and Imperial player? The answer is no. I basically do these list videos based on the lists I'm given, and if I notice like there's a big archetype of lists among them, I just go, hey, that'd make a good video, and I do that. And on that note, we're doing a Rebel video today, and we're going to do a video on the pilot Wullffwarro.
Yes, very, very excited. When you invited me over here, you said we were going to talk about Rebels, but it was only when I got here you said we were going to be focusing on Wullffwarro, and he's one of my favourites. Excellent. So this is great.
Yeah, man. I mean, Lorik gets played a lot. He's a great ship in the meta. Perhaps less hyped now that Biggs has got his big nerf. No pun intended. But the whole thing with Lorik is he's just a good, efficient ship anyway, and I think people have just gravitated to him because he really fits in with what Rebels are trying to do. Wullffwarro is very, very aggressive. He almost feels like a Scum and or Imperial pilot with those abilities.
One way to put it.
The more you shoot him, the more he shoots you back. It almost feels like a Decimator pilot or something like that. And there's nothing wrong with that. Having that on the Rebel faction is fine. It's just fitting him into that archetype and seeing how we can play around with that. That's the interesting part of having a pilot like that amongst all those other pilots that don't really function like that.
Yeah, Lorik's an excellent support ship, but Wullffwarro is actually going to pull his own weight and do some work for himself.
So before we continue, let's have a quick look at the card. He's worth 30 points, pilot skill 7, has an EPT. Just before we continue as well, we'll go through the stats. The Ozatuk gunship has a 180-degree firing arc with 3 red dice, 1 agility, 6 hull, 3 shields, focus and reinforce actions. And Wullffwarro's pilot ability says when attacking, if you have no shields and at least 1 damage card assigned to you, roll 1 additional attack die.
Yeah, there's just something really special about flying a low agility ship into combat knowing that it's pretty much going to take damage, but if you can get to range 1 of somebody, you're going to be rolling 5 attack dice.
I love it. It's about rewarding yourself for your own ship getting shot. I mean, it's about advancing your game plan while actively advancing your opponent's game plan. It's for fast games, and I love fast games of X-Wing.
Oh, fast game's a good game.
Absolutely. So without further ado, let's have a look at some of the lists we've been submitted. The first one is from Argirios Mavroudis, friend of ours.
Yeah.
Friend of yours, a friend of mine.
Yeah, he's a fun guy to play with.
Absolutely. His list includes Dutch Vander with Wullffwarro and Lieutenant Blount. Dutch is equipped with ion cannon, turret, bomb loadout, extra munitions, cluster mines, and R2 astromech.
Wullffwarro's got push the limit, fin, and weapons engineer.
And Lieutenant Blount has wingman and ion pulse missiles, totaling out at 98 points.
2-point bid.
So a 2-point bid, pilot skill 7 and 6, probably not that important. You could fill out those 2 points and do whatever you want with it.
I mean, if the universe was fair, the Y-Wing would have an EPT, and I would say just spend 2 points on that, but the universe is not fair.
Well, it came back from a time where they didn't think they were putting EPTs on everything, and then they realised that EPT should be on everything when you invest in the higher pilot skill pilots. And Dutch Vander absolutely should have an EPT slot. Yeah. And then you'd put, like, I don't know, push the limits, Lone Wolf, anything, basically, will do good on him. But let's talk about what's going on with this list in particular. This is very much a handshake list.
Yep.
Where particularly Dutch and Wullffwarro, in fact entirely Dutch and Wullffwarro are working together. So Dutch can provide Wullffwarro with a target lock. Wullffwarro's weapons engineer can then turn that into 2 target locks, which he can then use to re-roll on his attacks. Finn can give him another blank dice. His ability can give him another dice to roll in the first place. And he can just throw a lot of dice.
It's a fairly common thing because the Rebels, they get by with a little help from their friends. The Rebel handshake lists are sort of how the game works. But yeah, this one though, This is a very risky one, I think.
It is. Arj was saying, I think this might be a bit too handshaky. My rule of thumb is if you have 2 ships out of your 3 ships handshaking each other, that's not too bad. It's when you get like 3 ships trying to work in tandem that it gets really risky. The big issue here is once Dutch is killed, you have lost a lot of value, unfortunately.
Yeah.
There's then no way for Wullffwarro to get target locks, and that's risky. And then the weapons engineer has no value. Finn has no value. Push is fine. There's nothing wrong with push on here. But it's risky from that point of view. And I think if you were to fly this and sort of go for that really ultra-hard synergy, you just have to dive Wullffwarro into the fray and absolutely give your opponent no incentive to go after your Y-Wing. You basically want your Y-Wing to be so far out of the battle, which kind of sucks because then the ability doesn't work. But you want Wullffwarro to be taking damage first. You must have Wullffwarro taking damage first for this to work properly. Yeah,
the build for this Wullffwarro, I'm not super excited about, just because the 2 crew slots in an Oz-Attack, they leave space for it to be very efficient. Like Dutch Vander's ability with an Oz-Attack makes a lot of sense to me.
Absolutely.
Because the Oz-Attack can't re-roll its own dice naturally. So Dutch Vander giving a target lock to Wullffwarro, that's really helpful.
It's good without all the other stuff.
Yeah,
that's the thing. Yeah.
But then something happens. I mean, your Oz-Attack has reinforce, so its 1 green isn't a huge problem. But the Y-Wing still only has 1 green, so the Y-Wing can die fairly easily. And if your opponent cottons on to the fact that you can't target lock without Dutch, they're going to make bad things happen to Dutch.
Yeah, Dutch can't focus, basically, unless you just want to completely not have that symbiosis at all.
Yeah.
And I think we had a chat about this before. The best way to sort of balance this out is just go for better value cards on Wullffwarro that don't rely on that synergy. And just, be content with the fact that synergy is still there regardless. Just Dutch and Wullffwarro as they are is great. But when we're stacking on things like Finn and Weapons Engineer, you're investing another 8 points into that synergy, which could easily get broken. If you invested those points instead in, say, something like Kanan Jarrus, what other crew could we think of?
Well, my personal favourite Wullffwarro build, and I've done pretty well with this in the past, is Kyle Katarn and Kanan Jarrus. With PTL and targeting computer. So you're pretty much always clearing stress and getting focus and reinforcing and getting rerolls and your target locks. But with this, if you replaced Finn, which is 5 points, with Kanan and the targeting computer modification, because this ship in this build doesn't have a mod yet, you can... And if you want, you can keep the weapons engineer. I don't think it's super necessary to have 2 target locks because the Oz-Attack's arc is massive. But let's leave the weapons engineer and just replace Finn with Kanan and the targeting computer. If Dutch is destroyed, your Wullffie is still target locking.
Yeah, for sure. But I'd just go as far as to say just replace Finn with Kyle. Because then you're getting your focus tokens every turn. You're going to get target locks from Dutch regardless. And yeah, if that synergy dies, it sucks, but it's not completely breaking your entire build in Wullffwarro.
Can we just take a quick second though to talk about the Blount build there with the ion pulse missiles? That's something I'd not thought of before, because even if those missiles do 0 damage, Blount, his ability, he's going to ion the target no matter what. So you're guaranteeing even a large base ship, you're guaranteeing they're not able to choose their move on 1 turn.
It's nice. It's a nice little combo. It means that you're going to be able to capitalize on the next turn with your other ships. Dutch has bombs. Dutch has ion cannon turrets, so they can continually chain ion together just to really, really punish them. And Wullffwarro has a massive attack, so you can punish them from that ion. Not too sure about Wingman, and the main reason I'm not too sure about Wingman is because the card itself just is a bit overcosted. Just a bit of context here. Wingman came out a long time ago back with the Z95, and it was a new area of design space, there's that word again, for the game where they had something that could remove stress. And I think FFG were a bit conservative, making it only range 1 and making it 2 points. It just is a bit overcosted. It's a fine ability, but I think newer and better things have come along since Wingman. And from that point of view, I'd just go for something more efficient, plenty more cheaper.
You could put vectored thrusters on there instead of an EPT to make sure you had the shot with the ion pulse missiles. You could put Deadeye on there for 1 less point and really guarantee that ion by focusing.
You could go for adaptability. That way they're all pilot skill matched.
And that gets you, if you take 2 points off there, that's a squad is 96 points. All of a sudden, you've got 4 more points you can spend on something else.
Absolutely. Then you could think about like Kanan targeting computer. What other ridiculous stuff can go in this? Dutch has got an Archer Astromech. I guess that's the right call to make. Maybe we're stripping off too much here.
Maybe, yeah. A Rebel Y-Wing without an R2 Astromech is going to have a very bad time because there are 2 native greens on a Y-Wing dial, and if you can't, even if you're not stressed necessarily, it makes life very difficult.
Yeah, for sure. No, you're absolutely right there. Clusters could be protons. Anyway, we're now just basically building a list. So basically, the note I want to make here is you've gone for a really hard synergy, but you've got to be so careful with hard synergies because they break. If you go for just good solid value cards like Kanan Jarrus, targeting computer, all that kind of fun stuff, you're going to make sure your ships just work more efficiently by themselves, and that might be better to adapt to many different situations.
Yeah, if you change only one thing in this list, I'd say make it Finn.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree. Apart from that, good list. Like it a lot. Let's move on to the next one from Callum Turner. He asked the question, how many dice can we roll? Let's see. This is Woollffwarro. We have Wullffwarro, Jan Ors, and a Gold Squadron pilot in a Y-Wing. Wullffwarro has Rage, Inspiring Recruit, and Kanan Jarrus.
Jan Ors has Predator, TLT, Kyle Katarn crew, and Vectored Thrusters.
Excellent. And Gold Squadron pilot has TLT, Bomb Loadout, Chopper, BTLA-4 Y-Wing, and Guidance Chips. So, looking at this Wullffwarro, this is very efficient.
Yeah, I'm very excited about this. This is an excellent idea. Because it's self-contained, and it's simple and it's effective.
There's nothing wrong with having synergy across 2 ships. You've just got to be aware of the downside of that. When you have a good self-contained ship like this, and let's just actually go through what we're talking about there, because Rage gives you 2 stress tokens. It means you can then reroll up to 2 attack dice during that turn. And
is it even 3? Reroll 3 attack dice.
Oh, it might be 3 attack dice. We're going to check this right now. You are indeed correct. It is 3 attack dice, and you get a focus token. So you're getting 2 stress token, which is usually a big downside, but Inspiring Recruit allows you to remove up to 2 stress tokens when you remove any stress tokens. Indeed, it could be this ship or another ship at range 1 to 2. Kanan Jarrus allows this ship or another ship at range 1 to 2 to remove a stress token when they do a white maneuver. In other words, Wullffwarro can do any white maneuver after he uses Rage and remove both stress tokens and then Rage again the next turn. And very efficient.
Wullffwarro has an extremely white dial. With Kanan Jarrus, it's almost like, imagine a dial where every single move except for one was green.
Pretty much that's it.
That's a Kanan Wullffwarro dial.
Yeah, the other Texas loves Kanan Jarrus. And it's just good. It's just a big, powerful attack. And I think this is the right way to build Wullffwarro.
Yes.
You just stack attack bonuses on him. You don't really worry too much about defense bonuses. You could think about C-3PO in some kind of niche builds. But at the end of the day, you want to punish your opponent for shooting him. And the best way to do that is just to have more dice, more rerolls, blah, 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 all that kind of cool stuff. Let's talk about Jan Ors for a second, because she has Predator, TLT, Kyle, and Vectored Thrusters. And I think the one glaring thing about this is Predator. I don't love attack modification with TLT.
Yeah.
Because you're only increasing the odds of getting a single hit. Usually with rerolls, you want to increase the amount of hits so you can push through more damage. This is just giving you better odds on TLT, which just isn't worth that 3 points in my mind.
The odds for TLT are already quite substantial.
Yeah, just 3 naked dice. You only have to hit with one thing, and then you get the maximum efficiency out of that card.
Yep.
From that point of view, you could probably think about other things. You can think about adaptability. Adaptability is really good here because Jan Ors is pilot skill 8, Wullffwarro is pilot skill 7. So in some matchups, she can just she can go up 1 pilot skill, up to pilot skill 9, in case your opponent's flying anything with pilot skill 8. If they're not, if they're all low pilot skill, you go down and match it with Wullffwarro.
Making Jan Ors go pilot skill down is pretty effective, because with something like that, you can choose with her and Wullffwarro being the same. You have more choice over deployment and maybe one not bumping into the other. But I also lost a game once against someone who was flying Jan with vectored thrusters because they kept barrel rolling for no reason other than to block me.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if your Jan can do that, then great.
Nasty, nasty. And also, yeah, as you said, one of them has vectored thrusters. So when you get to choose which one goes first and barrel roll out of the way in the right situations, it just makes that happen a bit less. And a bump can be the difference between your ship surviving and not surviving, and that can throw a game, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So adaptability is probably doing as much work as adaptability can possibly do.
Yep.
For 0 points, it's probably just better than the 3 points on Predator. That's my thoughts anyway. Kyle Katarn is fantastic. Jan is very capable of stressing herself out, both with that dial and her ability. She can give more dice to Wullffwarro, which is fantastic.
Yep.
Even if Wullffwarro is not proccing, the Jan Or's extra dice is still very welcome on him because he's already improving his attack dice anyway.
Because one thing we've mentioned quite often, and part of the point of Wullffwarro, is he gets the extra dice when he's damaged, but also you don't want to let him get too damaged because if your ship dies, you lose the game.
Exactly right, yeah.
Yeah.
So flying these guys in tandem feels pretty good. Between his ability and TLT, you've got a lot of damage on the board. And we have a Gold Squadron pilot. Not too sure about this build.
Yeah,
with the
gold,
chopper.
Yeah, with chopper. The Gold Squadron pilot for 25 points is something that I use all the time because for rebels, having just one turret sitting in the background doing turret things is good. Is sort of good insurance. A Y-wing has quite a lot of hull, and with an R2 astromech, they get around pretty well.
So you prefer R2 astromech, not flight assist? Have you tried flight assist yet?
I've tried flight assist on a T-70. I've not yet tried flight assist on a Y-wing. I think I prefer R2 astromech still, only because it makes the dial much more user-friendly.
Absolutely, yeah. Having hard turns that are green is worth a lot.
And the fact that it's a turret as well. If I was trying to get arc on an opponent, I'd say, yeah, flight assist astromech, but I'm not because I have a turret.
You're not using the BTLA-4, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
If you're using the flight assist, you'd want BTLA-4 to really capitalise on the double tapping stuff and all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because flight assist astromech means you can't shoot out of your arc. So they're the choices, I think. And I completely agree. I think that's probably just better either way.
Yeah.
The whole chopper thing is a lot of fun. But the regen is unideal. It costs you an action.
Well, it costs you an action, and also you can count the amount of times something's going to regen. I mean, R2-D2 can regen you for days. This build, you'll get to use chopper 3 times.
Oh, 4 times if you really want to get rid of that TLT.
Oh, wow. Okay. I mean, yeah, okay, 4 times, but yeah, I don't know.
No, you don't want to do that. Don't do that. That's a really bad idea. Yeah. I mean, in the original article for the Sheathopede, there was a build they put up there with extra munitions, cluster mines, and you can discard extra munitions as well to get up to 4 regens because extra munitions doesn't do anything after you've equipped it.
Yeah.
So from this point of view, honestly, we feel like the flight assist BTLA-4 or just no BTLA-4 and R2 astromech is probably the better option here. There's nothing wrong with this. I just feel like it's a bit gimmicky. The regen is not going to be your best friend always, and you're just better off having something more efficient.
Yeah, if you want something to stay alive in your list, it's probably not the generic Y-wing.
Or if you want to use the generic Y-wing as a flanker, don't put BTLA-4 on him.
Yeah.
Just R2 astromech and TLT and just fly around the side. Let Wullffwarro and Jan dive in the middle and do all the damage that way. For sure. Let's move on to the next list. This one from Bronze Sparrow. Wullff. Exactly 100 points. We have Kayan Farlander, Wullffwarro, Ezra Bridger. Kayan Farlander has PTL, Advanced Sensors, Tractor Beam, B-Wing E2, and Maul.
Wullffwarro has Expertise, Baze Malbus, Bodhi Rook, and Targeting Computer.
And Ezra has Elusiveness, Courier Droid, Chopper, Phantom, Title, and Guidance Chips. Okay, and it's also worth knowing that this was from the Brewing with Maul video I did. This was not from another list building video, so Bronze Sparrow here, you are trying to build a list specifically with Maul, which is fine, nothing wrong with that. And from that point of view, I think Maul is used effectively here. I think Kayan Farlander is probably his best option. Whether or not that in itself is fantastic.
I'm just reading it. I know people are very excited about Maul with Kayan Farlander. I'm not down on the idea necessarily, but it's I guess I feel like the stress mechanic in Kane's ability sort of helps him out enough without Maul.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Maul can do one stress token to reroll a die, and then Kane Farlander can convert all the focus tokens. And that's nice and efficient. Reroll then focus conversion in that order is always fantastic. Whether it's worth 3 points, I don't really know. Push the limits probably is not what you want to be doing here.
Yeah, that's partly what's confusing me. I'm reading this list, push the limits the first thing in it, and I just thought, that's a shot in the foot straight away, because you're already stressed, which eliminates part of Maul's effectiveness then. Like, PTL on Key and Farlander is something I used to fly a long time ago when I was a new player and the meta hadn't expanded much beyond that.
Far beyond Kane Farlander,
and PTL Kian is sort of enough on its own.
It's good, and I think it's a different way to approach this. So it's push or Maul, not both.
Yeah.
And then you can think about things like VI to go up to part skill 9 if you really want to do that. I'm not quite sure what else you put on there, though, to be honest. You could do Lone Wolf. That's not too bad.
Don't put a lot on a B-Wing. Is sort of the answer. Because B-Wing, yeah. I just flew a game with Nick today involving a B-Wing. I love flying them, but they can't be expensive.
One thing I will say is push and advanced sensors is good because then you can push before you execute maneuver and then execute a green maneuver.
That's good for something like a B-Wing because you can reposition and then have your... Because your red maneuver might be red.
The issue there is it doesn't have a lot of green maneuvers. You do that in anticipation of doing a green maneuver. That's the whole idea, and that's fantastic on like your IGs, on your Kylo Rens and whatever. Not ideal on K and Farlander, but it is an option nonetheless. Like just doing the one forward might be what you want to do, and that might be a great way of doing it. Alongside Maul, you can still push advanced sensors, clear stress, and then use Maul. Yeah. But it's not going to happen every single turn.
I meant, sorry, you're right with including PTL in there. I meant you can, if you have advanced sensors on a B-Wing without push the limit, you can do your reposition and then do your red move, because there's so much red on a B-Wing dial.
Oh, okay, right, yeah.
No, I wasn't recommending that the listeners do white 2 straights all the time because of being stressed and red moves.
Yeah, not ideal, not ideal. Anyway, Wullffwarro has expertise, Baze Malbus, and Bodhi Rook, and Untitled Computer. Okay. Expertise is fantastic. We've been through that already. Targeting computer, also pretty good. Baze.
No,
Baze Malbus. There's a big issue here. I mean, Baze Malbus functions pretty much exactly like Gunner in that you can take a primary weapon attack against another ship if you miss. The problem here is you have everything else on this build stacked towards making Wullffwarro never misses.
Yep.
And he just won't. He just won't miss. Unless you're flying against like an ace or something, in which case you can only take an attack against another ship anyway.
Yeah.
And then you won't get the chance to double tap him anyway. So it doesn't really work in this kind of thing. Even Gunner, I wouldn't recommend here. To double tap the same ship. It's not going to be your best friend. So you're better just taking something that's a bit more value. You could think about Kanan Jarrus, although you're not really taking any stress in this build, but making sure there's no stress for expertise is not terrible.
Yeah. Plus, somebody might try to stress you.
Yeah, plus it also works on your friendly ships as well.
Yep.
So there's a lot of value to be had. I think that situation, whilst being relatively rare, is going to happen way more often than Baze Malbus is going to be relevant here. Bodhi Rook and targeting computer? Nah, it's all right.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, okay, cool, no worries. I mean, my biggest issue with Bodhi Rook in his crew or pilot ability is when you fly him on Rebels and they fly in box formation, the reach you get out of that ability is basically minimal.
Yeah.
But there's no reason, there's no incentive amongst these ships to fly together. So that's fine. Maybe you want to fly Kayan off to one side and Wullffwarro on the other side. And suddenly Wullffwarro has this amazing reach with his target locks.
Yeah, I mean, you're exactly right. Bodhi's probably not going to... If Bodhi was 3 points or something, I'd immediately say just don't fly it.
That's it.
You're exactly right with what you just said about everyone being together. But for 1 point, if you take Baze out and chuck in Tactician...
Yep, Tactician's fantastic.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Tactician on a Ozark gunship, that range 2 band in 180 degrees is so big.
So even in this build, I still wouldn't say that Wullffwarro ever needs weapons engineer, because the logic of weapons engineer is with most ships with a normal arc, the ship you have target locked because you want to shoot them, you might not have the opportunity. But if you have 2 with target locks, you can. But that's not going to be a problem with an Ozatuk because its arc is massive.
Not as much anyway.
So, yeah.
But I mean, at least with Bloody Rook, it makes a little bit more sense.
Oh yeah.
Then suddenly you can reach across the board and target lock something you're about to shoot, and then something you're about to dive on all the way from across the board the next turn.
Yeah.
It's interesting. But again, I think just go for the value play. Just go for Kanan. Just go for Tactician. Just go for Kanan. Just solid, high-value cards that work really well. And honestly, both of those are going to help Wullffwarro. Tactician means you shoot a ship, you stress it. It's going to have a hard time running away. Anyway, let's move on to Ezra Bridger, who has Elusiveness, Courier Droid, Chopper, Phantom, and Guidance chips. We have another Chopper build that wants to get rid of all the things.
Yep.
I think it works a bit better here. Just a bit. Elusiveness is fine. With Ezra, it makes a lot of sense because Elusiveness gives you a stress token on defense. Ezra Bridger only has a pilot skill 5, so he's usually going to defend first, and then he has the stress to use on his attack. Might not be the case, but it is often going to be the case.
Yeah, anything that stresses you for Ezra is handy because he can automatically potentially change both of his dice because he's got that's his special ability.
Yeah, that works quite well. But what do we think of Chopper here? I'm not sure.
The Chopper card, at the risk of sounding far too negative, the Chopper card doesn't excite me personally, just because it's finite. It makes sense to get a shield out of the Courier Droid because the Courier Droid's 0 points, but on an Ezra Sheathipede, I want to chuck the Stress Bot on there.
Yeah,
just for me personally.
Even R2 Astromech's fine.
Yeah.
Even Flight Astromech's fine. It means you're always getting shots. And also Chopper uses up an action, which means you
can't coordinate.
You can't coordinate. You can't focus a target lock. And I just don't think that's ideal. One more thing. You pointed out before we started recording. The Phantom title. Potential issue here. Lachlan, why don't you explain?
Okay, the Phantom 2 title, in my opinion, can't be equipped without a ghost with the ghost title. And
why is that?
If you have a look at the card, and it's worth looking at the ghost title and the Phantom 2 titles next to each other, on the Phantom card there is no points cost. There is no squad point cost notice.
Exactly right.
Because if you look at the card right there, that's not a 0. That's
not
a dash.
0, it's a dash, yeah.
And if you look at the clause on the ghost card, the instructions on the ghost card are equip the Phantom card.
It's like it's giving you permission to equip it. Yeah,
that's a good term.
I completely agree. If the Phantom 2 card could be equipped to any Phantom, any Sheathipede, I should say, it would just have 0, and it wouldn't refer to you having to equip it.
Yeah, and
yeah, you're right. The way these cards are worded indicates that you can't just do that.
Yeah, so I acknowledge that I'm referring to a cause on the I'm referring to a cause on the ghost card. The Phantom card doesn't have a similar one, like you may only equip this if, etc. But I feel like it makes sense, especially since there's no points cost on there. And if there's no ghost in your squad, the Phantom title does nothing other than get chewed up by Chopper. And I feel like they wouldn't make a card that there's no reason to have.
Perhaps. And also, we were talking about the Nashtar Pup as well, which has the exact same issue. You cannot field the Nashtar Pup without the Houndstooth title. It's a ship that pops out of the Houndstooth when it dies.
Yeah.
And the Nashtar Pup also has... It's like a little star in the bottom right-hand corner as well, which is fun.
I think it's got a star in the pilot skill
pilot skill.
No,
it is a dash. It is a dash from the Nashtar Pup. I'll bring up on the screen so you guys can see.
Yeah.
But essentially, you can't just field a Nashtar Pup. You don't have that choice. And that indicates to me that you probably can't do this either. Now, having said that, we're not here to discuss that little eccentricity of the rules. We're talking about how it affects this build, and it basically doesn't. It's just one less Chopper activation. Big whoop. Chopper's pretty much still doing the same amount of work he is anyway.
Yep.
And from that point of view, that's fine. But yeah, I think we can probably just get a bit more efficiency out of this. If we can cut down points on Base Malbus on Wullffwarro, we can spend more points on an Astromech on Ezra.
Yeah.
And then we can do R3A2.
I've seen R3A2 win games.
Yeah.
Basically,
It's powerful. It's disgusting.
Yeah, because if you hit, and I saw this happen, if you put an extra stress on a Kylo silencer, the Kylo silencer dial is made to handle stress, but it's made to handle one stress at a time.
Yes, correct.
So if you can double stress... I mean, changing this build completely now, but
That's
yeah,
all right.
I just do consider an Ezra stress bot if you get the chance.
Well, it's just a case of, look, we don't really feel like Chopper's doing enough in this build.
No way.
You're spending an action to do something on a ship that already wants actions for other things.
Yeah.
But by just whacking on R3A2, you're giving yourself the option to do something which could be really impactful on some games.
Yeah.
And that's just great. So, overall, I like the list. I think there's just a couple of things to clean up, but yeah, nothing wrong with it.
Nah.
A great approach, just needs a bit more tweaking to make it a bit more efficient. Okay, the last list we're looking at by Mr. Patrick Murphy has Wullffwarro, Kane Farlander, and Cassian Andor. Wullffwarro has Rage, Inspiring Recruit, Kane and Jarrus. Awesome.
Ken Farlander has Rage, Collision Detector, Jan Ors, B-Wing E2.
And Cassian Andor has Adaptability, Fire Control Systems, Inspiring Recruit, and Ray, and Pivot Wing. I love how it's called Cassian Andor.
Yeah.
I always thought it was Cassian Andor based on what we saw before the movie came out.
Ah.
And it's like he had that Spanish flair. It's Cassian. I did a little finger click thing and nobody saw that.
No, I saw it and I liked it.
Excellent. So, this is the Wullffwarro build that we like.
This is the Wullffwarro build that we like.
Pretty much.
Yeah, Patrick's really nailed it.
One thing I will say is we have 2 Inspiring Recruits in this list, and there really isn't any reason to do that.
See, I don't know, actually. You were saying, we spoke about this briefly before. I think the Inspiring Recruit that's on Wullffwarro, that's taken. That's
for himself. Yeah, I get that.
We ignore that. And then the Inspiring Recruit that's left, because Inspiring Recruit can affect the ship it's on or a friendly.
Yes.
For only 1 point, that's just spare. Like, Kian is, probably going to get rid of some stress, but Rage double stresses you.
Yes.
And I think he probably wants the focus from Rage to turn into an evade with Jan, and then he'll spend a stress during the attack. But the B-Wing dial is nasty, and I like having the freedom of the Inspiring Recruit in there.
Yeah, so the issue here is Kane Farlander will most of the time remove one of the 2 stresses he gets anyway, leaving him with only 1 stress, which means he gets no value from the Inspiring Recruit the next turn. The issue is if he doesn't shoot and he rages, which might happen occasionally if you really stuff it up, then you have Inspiring Recruit as a backup to then remove both stress. I just feel like that's not going to happen enough to justify having Inspiring Recruit and Cassian Andor. I guess it's great because if your opponent has stress mechanics, it's a great hoser for that. 1 point basically negates all of that, and you're having a great time. Even if they triple stress Wullffwarro, you can then remove 3 stress at one time using both Inspiring Recruits. But I feel overall that Intel Agent is just the better option there. Intel Agent is always a great 1 point card on your crew slot. You have a ship with a barrel roll, so you can go for blocks. Yeah, it's better when your pilot skills are a bit lower than this, but what we've got, 6, 7, 7, yeah. I think Intel Agent is probably just better value overall. I can see what you're doing with Inspiring Recruit. I just don't think you quite get there in terms of what you want to try and be doing.
Oh, because I was just thinking, I played a game the other night with a Melbourne X-winger, Luke, who watches your videos as well, and
awesome.
He used the Intel Agent Jakku Gunrunner build because of watching your videos. Yeah, and
I'm making people do bad things. That's awesome.
So I mean, I've come to since talking to you about it, I've come to respect Intel Agent a lot more. But I guess
it's better on that list.
It's definitely better
because
on that list.
You have a pilot skill 1 guy who can block and track to you. This is pilot skill 6, 7, 7. You have 1 guy who can barrel roll. So yeah, the value isn't all there. I don't know. I just think it's doing a little bit more than Inspiring Recruit. At the end of the day, we are splitting hairs. They're both undervalued and doing okay, and it only costs 1 point.
You could leave it out and just bid, I suppose.
I guess so. What does this add up to? It's 100 points exactly. Pilot skill 7s. The bid is...
Yeah, nowadays a 1 point bid is not big, is it?
Well, more to the point, your pilot skill 7s really don't care that much. You have guys that can block really well if you do have your opponent's pilot skill 7s flying before or after. So you're doing all right regardless. I wouldn't stress over a bit. I'd spend the points. On either Inspiring Recruit or Intel Agent, I think that's the right call to make. Yeah, everything just seems pretty straight down the line here. Nothing too crazy. Cassian Andor, again, is removing stress from friendly ships.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, so I guess you can get rid of both of Cain Farlander's stresses, or if he has both stresses left over somehow because he couldn't get a shot off.
Actually, come to think of it, the Cassian stress removal, it's not an action, is it? It happens during... Yeah, sorry, you're completely right. Get Inspiring Recruit out of there.
Yeah, it's just not doing enough work. You're very rarely going to have 2 stress tokens on another ship.
Yeah.
And that's just what it boils down to. Ray is fine as a value play. It's not doing a whole heap, but I guess you could do... no, Kanan Jarrus is already on Wullffwarro.
Well, if you're willing to slow roll for a couple of turns to stack the focus tokens on Ray, and Cassian's got fire control system, as the game goes by, you're sort of not bump proof, but if you've got target locks out there already and focus tokens out there already, I'm less worried about your action efficiency then.
Your attack's going to be good. You're getting rerolls and focuses regardless because you have access to both of those quite easily.
As long as you can bank enough focus. If you get into combat and you've only used Ray twice, then that's not
absolutely
helpful.
I'll say just broadly as an analysis of the value, the U-Wing is not a efficient ship. It just isn't, unfortunately.
It was not properly cooked when they released it.
No, which is a bit of a shame because it's a really cool concept. And the ship is really cool. But, yeah, just for 32 points, I feel like you could be doing a lot better. But I can see what you want to do with this. And from that point of view, there's probably no other ship that does that. That kind of handshakey, remove stress kind of stuff. I wish it was an efficient ship because I love what it's trying to do here. It's just not that efficient. So between a U-Wing and a B-Wing and an Azatach, you're probably just not getting a great pool of value out of those 3 ships.
Because the Wullffwarro, don't get me wrong, I love your build, Patrick, but if you rage, you can't reinforce.
That's a good point as well.
Yeah.
There's no way to get around that either. There's no way to give them any more efficiency.
No, because the thing that I really like, there's 2 ways about that people have tried to think, okay, I need to get target locks onto my Azatach, 3 ways, sorry, Dutch, Rage, and the targeting computer modification, because, yeah, it needs rerolls to be aggressive, but the thing that keeps this ship alive is the reinforce action.
Reinforce, 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 reinforce.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hate flying against that because that's really annoying.
So yeah, I'm not saying you shouldn't feel confident in flying this Wullffwarro because you absolutely should. You will ruin people's day with it. But yeah, just remember that you can't reinforce, that's all.
If there's a way to slip an experimental interface, which you don't have in this list, unfortunately, there is no way to trim off 3 points.
But then, if you experimental interface with Rage, and I've thought about this, you'll triple stress. Trust me, I've thought about this.
And then you have... Oh, then we have 2 inspiring recruits to get rid of 3 stress.
Oh, wait, actually, yeah, let's talk about this. Where can we get 3 points out of this list?
I just take off Janors and the B-Wing E2 title. Done.
Oh!
Experimental interface on Wullffwarro, then he can triple stress, and then Cassian Andor can remove 3 stress from him.
Yeah.
Oh, this is dumb. This is dumb. See, this is the kind of excessively synergized list that just get wrecked by destroying one ship that you should never build. But it's fun. It's fun. I like the thinking here, and I think, don't do what we said. But
no, do it.
But it's fun, and I like what you're doing here. I just think the upgrades and the ships overall are just a little bit undervalued for what they should be doing. But I like the idea, and I think it's something that you should work on because it's fun. That's, at the end of the day, what it's all about.
Yeah.
It's all about having fun. And Lachlan, did you have fun recording this video with me?
I had a great time.
Excellent.
We got to talk about Azatachs for half an hour. I loved it.
Man, Azatachs are great. And Wullffwarro, I think, is something that we should be seeing more of.
Yeah, I'm surprised. Like when it was spoiled, when the Azatach was spoiled months ago, the first thing I thought was, Lorik is good, but I love Wullffwarro. And then I'm going out in the community and talking to people.
No one was under any doubt that Lorik was going to be a great ship. But Wullffwarro, I thought, both of these are fantastic.
Yeah, I got to a tournament a couple of months ago and everybody's like, I saw your Wullffwarro, I saw your Azatach model, I thought it was Lorik. I've never played against someone who flew Wullffwarro. People were saying that to me all the time.
This is the first time you've done a video with me. I've done a lot of tournament reviews, top 16s, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Azatachs, Lorik, every single time.
Yeah.
I've never seen Wullffwarro making top 16s. I'm not quite sure why. He seems like he's doing a lot of work for what he's costed.
Because he's in a similar vein to Quick Draw, if you ask me, in terms of not necessarily what you get out of them, but in terms of you have to take damage on to make X work.
And the X is fantastic on both of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, a great ship, and I hope to see more of him. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Like and subscribe, like our Facebook page, and we'll catch you later.
Bye-bye.